Yes, I have been a little bit scarce on social media this week. I've been figuring some stuff out in my life, big changes on the planet, big changes inside of ourselves internally. And probably not a shocker, but one of the major things I've got going on right now is how art is changing my internal life in a good way, but it's kind of like the art for me this week has been a little bit scary, a little bit bumpy, and a little bit, oh my God, this is amazing. And I want to share a little bit of that with you, but it's actually wrapped up into another theme, okay? So even though my art for me this week has been healing and cathartic and revealing and oh my God, over the top. For this video, for this week, I've had this one theme in mind that I want to talk about. And it's kind of an ouch, but it's also a funny ha-ha. And let me set the stage like this. So there was a woman, and actually there's been a couple people who have dropped down in my comments and talked about how perfectionism or fear of making a mistake in their artwork actually keeps them from being in the artwork or actually doing their artwork. And boy, I can identify with this. Like in the short period of time I've been doing this, I have had, instances where I'll go in and sit down and begin and all of a sudden go, oh, what if I make a mistake? And then I'm going to show that to the world. Like it gets blown out of proportion, like it spirals out of proportion. And the next thing I'm doing is sitting there all frozen up, fight, flight, freeze trigger. I'm in my freeze trigger, all frozen up out of fear, like, uh-oh, I might make a mistake. And then I have to go, get real, Dana. You're a beginner. Of course, you're going to make a mistake. So let's go make mistakes. And, and that's kind of how I've couched it for myself. It's like, of course I'm going to make mistakes. So let's go make mistakes and enjoy the process and embrace everything. So one of the focuses in this theme of, how the fear of mistake making keeps us from our artwork. I want to talk about that and talk about the ideology of how we blow that open. And I'll talk some about it. And if you've got ideas about how you break through the fear of making a mistake or, the fear from perfectionism, let's share ideas on that because I think that can help all of us. I think this comes back to the whole thing about, the toxic patriarchy art has got to be in this cookie cutter of a thing and it's got to be perfected and all of that. I think that's a societal pressure that then we put on ourselves. So how do we break through that? I think that's going to be number one. Now, in the middle of this whole, I'm thinking about mistakes, and I ended up walking myself into the most colossal art, quote unquote, mistake that I then ended up laughing so hard. It was like a laugh so hard, you nearly cry, pee your pants, you're so funny, kind of funny, haha. Like I had that with my art. And it was so funny. I have to share it with you guys. It's a little bit crass. There's some crassness is involved, but it was so funny. But to do this, I want to walk you through. I have not shown you any of my textured art, except for one or two pieces. I haven't shown you any of my textured art or any of my texture art process. And I thought this would be a great way to invite you into my textured art exploration that I'm making, and it is filled with mistakes. And it's like basically what we're going to do is we're going to celebrate and laugh with ugly art today. This is like, come celebrate and laugh with me, laugh with my ugly art. Yes, there's some really cool parts of it. I think you'll lean in and go, oh, that's kind of cool. A lot of it is just really ugly art to laugh about, and especially this one piece. So, and this is my way of making light about what's going on in the world and kind of carving out a little bit of space of joy and carving out a little bit of space of how do we move through our mistakes and laugh about it and turn it into something and keep living our life and enjoying our art. So come on, let's go back to my art room and take a look at some funny, ha-ha art stuff. All right, here we go. I've got it all spread out. We're just going to kind of do it a portion at a time here. So what I wanted to do is begin with See this piece right here? This piece right here is my very first piece of textured art ever. And it's ghastly. It is absolutely ghastly. And this was at the same time that I was beginning to do watercolor landscapes and unknowingly using acrylic brushes. That's right. I was using acrylic brushes with watercolors. It's like, I didn't know what I was doing. And so then I wanted to keep moving with the texture art stuff. And this square panel right here, you know, I was trying to do the swoop-de-swoops and not knowing what to do. And so I started doing that with this, and it wasn't working out. And so I wiped off the background, and it turned into this beautiful swirl. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I didn't know what to do with it. So I left that, and then I did this, and I was kind of doing swoops and swirls. And I had ordered stuff on Amazon, some like multimedia stuff, because I was getting drawn in on that. And I ended up doing these beautiful little butterflies in the swirls. And the craziest thing happened. I was doing this, and all of a sudden a feeling came over me. It's like, oh, I'm doing this for someone. This belongs to someone. And so I've got it up on my Shopify. It's not that much money. You can go take a look at it. So this is one of I don't think I'll be doing multimedia art, but this is like multimedia art with these beautiful little butterflies in the swoops and the swirls. So I did that. And then I was still like hemming and hawing over this. And then I realized, oh, I can double it up and glue another board on the back. And so I made it dark blue, and I did that. And then I've had this thing all along where I feel like dragonflies are connected with the timeline jumping thing. And this took weeks and weeks and weeks, right? And so eventually I was able to like super glue down the dragonflies with this, and then the cogs and wheels of time and the dragonflies. And, I was pretty happy about it. And then the mistake that I made, that I really felt like I made, is then I got a little too crazy with the paint. And I went too hardcore in with the paint. And really, to display this thing, it's got to have a light on it so you can actually see, because when it's in the dark, you can't actually see it. So let's keep moving. Then in the middle of doing all those pieces, I actually began to land a little bit of technique, and I got my scallops to work on a teeny tiny piece, and then I sprinkled some glitter on it. I love this piece. This one actually worked out. I love this piece. And then I pushed my luck. And I thought, oh, I want to formulate this inspired by peacock feathers, right? And my technique went out the window, and it is a pretty sloppy mess. And in the middle of all of this, I heard an artist say something about never waste your paints, never waste the extras. And so this is extras that I have made yet again into another awful piece of art right there. And then I really started getting serious about my texture art stuff and figuring out my tools. And what I began to realize is, like, I needed a way to do samples so that I could figure out how to make, petals, and figure out how it was going to work. See, this is awful. Like how, that mix turned out, that mix turned out to be awful. Let's see if we can find a good one in here. Oh, this is okay. This is a little bit better. Me learning how to do sampling. I'm trying to figure out how to do rose petals right there. Not working out so well, but we're getting there. This is a really good scallop sample. That actually turned out pretty good. And another really great scallop sample. The samples actually turned out better than the art did. You'll see in a little while. Oh yeah, and bad petal samples. Yeah, so in the middle of everything, I have been playing with my product to figure out, okay, how do we actually make good product? And so in the middle of this, I did end up going a little bit crazy, and I created this piece. Now this piece, it's bad art, but when I was doing this, I got so in it. And when I've got that hanging, so I've got this hanging in my studio office space. And every time I look at it, I swear I can feel the energy coming through here, an energy of like something wanting to take flight. So to me, like, this was my first experience of like, I really put myself into it. The end results weren't great, but I still feel good about it because there's something in it that I love. I can see something emerging. And this is where I'm beginning to go, oh, there's something about you're following along with emergent art. Maybe you're not doing great and maybe mistakes are happening, but you can feel something is going on in there. You feel something is going on in there. And I felt that with this. I got done with this and I was like, whew, that was amazing. I loved it. It was fun. It didn't turn out how I wanted it to, but I don't care because I still love it anyway. And that's when Spirit Team had me do this. And I've already shown these two pieces to you. This is when Spirit Team said they walked me through the watercolor. So this is a watercolor page. And then they had me throw down abstract textured art on top of it. So you can see this is a texture piece. They had me do this. And then they walked me through and had me do this. And this is where I fell in love with putting together abstract with textured art. Something happened here. Like, this was emerging, something was emerging, and then Spirit World had me do this. And this was all quite lovely. And then I fell off the wagon because then Spirit World had me do this sample card, and I'm going to put a sample up here of the direction that I was headed. I was seeing stuff like this. And they had me put together a sample card of both the texture, the joint compound, and then run some different types of colors. I was running pendulum to see, okay, what colors, how are we going to mix it? And I got done with this, and this was quite lovely. I like my sample card on this. This is, I really, frankly, I think this is the piece of art. I love this. All right. So you ready to laugh? You ready for some bad, ugly art? Oh my God. Some god awful, bad, ugly art. Oh my God. So I got off to a good start with the texture in the background. And then I was somewhat okay with the color. But then I was feeling the vibe from this, and I was wanting to do it here, but I hadn't figured out my technique yet. And so we just made an ungodly, unholy mess. And then I was like, okay, well, I just went over the edge. I really screwed the pooch on that. So let's play some more. So I get out my piping and let's do curls. Oh my God. I did curls, but here's the crazy thing. I started doing these curls, and I think I got right around in here, and I broke out into tears. And I swear to God, doing these curls was therapeutic. So, yeah, it's an unholy mess. It's like really ugly art, but oh my God, it's funny and hilarious and cryable and laughable. And so it's kind of a fucked up piece, but I sure did learn a lot from it, and I did laugh a lot, and I did cry a lot. There was a lot of emoting that came out of this piece. But are we done? Oh no, we're not done yet. So I did all this art over here, and I'm still not good about scoping out the amounts that I need to use either in paint or in the textured stuff. And I'm still got that lady's voice in the back of my head going, don't you dare waste any paint or textured art. So I created this god-awful thing. Oh my God, it's like... Can you believe it? I just couldn't help myself. Put down a base of purple because I had purple, and I put down bases of orange petals, and then teal petals, and then gold, and like, oh my God, this is just me. No, I'm just messing around. But you know what? The petals are getting better. Like, no cracks. My mixing is getting better. My form is getting better. So we're getting there. Ugly art, lots of mistakes, but we're getting here. We're getting there. All right, and now I am about ready to show you the masterpiece of fucked up, mistakable art pieces. But there's a little bit of story to this. There was a little bit of a story. And I'm pretty sure Jackson Pollock, because I channel Spirit Team. What I didn't know is I also can channel dead artists, right? Which I'm not ready to wrap my brain around that one. But I'm pretty sure Jackson Pollock has been showing up and kind of goosing me along, especially the last couple days. Once I did this fucked up art piece and just laughed and laughed, like peed my pants laugh from this, that's when I could hear him begin to come through. And like, yeah, he's a pisser. He is just, he's a toxic patriarchal artist pisser. But, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that goosed me on this one. So, here's the crass part about all of this. And you can hear my potty mouth is really beginning to come in. So leading up to this piece that I'm about ready to show you, leading up to this piece, I could not stop painting, like watercolor painting things that did not look phallic. Like everything I was painting, God damn it, it was all coming out looking like a dick. And I was so mad about this. And then I got up one morning, you know, I was doing stuff, had to go to town, and there was like all of like these big swinging dick men in front of me, the cars they were driving, how they were acting. I don't know what was going on. I was like, what is going on with all of this? And so then I got home and I've been working on this art piece. All right, I'm just going to show it to you and then I'll tell you what happened. Here we go. Take a look at this. All right, here it is. The bad, fucked up art pieces to compete with all bad, fucked up art pieces. Man, I just cannot help myself. Okay, remember, Spirit Team has for me this model right here. And I try and do that model and I cannot conform. I cannot conform. I've got to mess with it. And so in messing with it, you know, I thought I would do some scallops with some dots. And, you know, it looks good in theory, like it looks real. I mean, doesn't that look lovely on the sample card? Sample card makes it look great. I put it together like this. What does this look like, ladies? What does this look like? This looks like a measle-pocked dick with a mermaid condom at the end of it in teal-colored sperm swirls. Oh my God. I got done with this thing and I was like, it could not get any worse than this, right? This is bad art to top all bad art. And oh my God, when I got done with it, I couldn't save it. I couldn't save my life for this thing. And I just laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. Like, how do I go from these really cute doily thingy dings right here, and then I fucked that up. So, all right. So that is my really bad art share that, like, God, it's comically funny. Like, I go back and look at some of those pieces and I laugh and I laugh and I laugh. And it was fun to share it with all of you. And I hope you're laughing. I know part of it is just so cringeworthy. It's just like, and then it's just funny. And the thing I want to leave you with as far as the whole thing about mistakes, and you know, I'm a new artist and it's all exploration, and so there's more mistakes and exploration than there are actually successes at this point. Well, I'm having successes with the watercolor, but the textured art, it's more difficult. So here is my hope. Here's my hope for us, that if I can share my bad art and show you how low the bar has been for me just to get myself up off the ground. And there's been mistakes everywhere, and some of us working here and some of us not working there. And sometimes it's working in places like I need the place for it to work over here and not over that. Like, I'm going through that whole thing right now. And I think what I'm hoping is that as you watch this, that you go a lot easier on yourself with your own art. I hope you can find, like, one of the things I'm finding that other artists talk about is turning a mistake into a win, like seeing what you do, maybe not see it as a mistake, but seeing it as a new pathway through your art. And so, you know, I've been playing around and thinking about that as well. But my hope is that by me doing this, it kind of like loosens us up a little bit and we don't take ourselves as seriously. Remember the energy forecast from a couple weeks ago? It's all serious right now. Maybe not take ourselves so seriously. I think that's kind of the point right now, especially in our art, is like not taking ourselves so seriously with it and just being able to laugh. I mean, but you know, my God, if I accidentally created a mermaid condom covered measle-pocked dick out of accident in my artwork goosed along by a dead artist by the name of Jackson Pollock, then hey, the sky is the limit for our mistakes in our art and maybe turning them into something else. And so on that note, I would love to hear what you have to say about my quote unquote mistakes and the laughable moments and your laughable moments in your relationship with mistakes in your art. And I am going to leave you with a little bit of a cliffhanger that I will answer a little bit down the road, in that, yes, Mr. Pollock has been hanging out, giving me some channels about my own art. And he has been helping me along with some of my abstract work that I like. He's helping me unleash some of my inner artist that I didn't know I had permission to just unfurl in a way that I didn't know I had permission to do that. And so through a mermaid condom covered dick encrusted with measles, somehow I am finding my way into the abstract art department that I'm kind of in love with. So I will be sharing a little bit more of that down the road with you. Yes, dead artist channels pendulum checks as a way to augment and work through our art space. It's just, oh my God, it's a riot right now. I can't wait to hear from you. Have so much fun in the comments. I hope you're laughing not only with yourself about your art, but especially with me and my art. All right, so few art pieces in my Shopify art gallery, and so that's what I've got for you for now. Make sure you keep walking forward to meet those miracles along the way. Even if they are mistakes, they do turn into miracles, and I will see you in my next video.